while since I've seen that. That's I mean that's like early
Well, it's been
90s
out for a
maybe.
long time. Yeah, it's been out for a long time.
All right, guys, it's a comic book club. We're doing What If number 30. What if the clone lived? And to take the lead on this issue, we got our local clone expert, D Runk. So let me set her up. Get it on right. Bang.
Boom! What up, everybody?
Look at this. Look at
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I came prepared here. So here's our cover of What If number 30.
Jeez. You even got the pointer?
I got a pointer. You know it. So this book starts off kind of recapping what happened in Amazing Spider-Man issue 149. Basically, this dude, the Jackal, cloned Peter Parker and made a new Spider-Man who had all of Peter's memories up until the point where he obtained the blood sample from Peter. So they're tasseling a little bit. They both think they're the real Spider-Man. Eventually, they decide to work together, but right up here, Peter sucker punches the clone, and the Jackal sacrifices himself, and Peter has to get rid of the body because it looks just like him, so he dumps him in a smokestack. Fantastic. Well, in this issue, it's what if the clone had lived. So it was Spider-Man that got knocked out, and the clone wins the fight and saves the day. But he swings off thinking he's the real Spider-Man. He gets to Aunt May's house, and all of his clothes fit really weird because he's like 2 or 3 years younger
I think it's 3 years older that the other Spider-Man is.
Yeah. And he's just starting to notice as he goes about time here that life is different. He doesn't, his room is boarded up at Aunt May's house. Eventually he goes to, and he sees Betty here at the Daily Bugle, finds out that he has an apartment. So she brings him to his apartment.
And that she's married too.
Yeah.
That's the other big thing, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, oh man, that kind of sucks, but yeah, man. So he eventually, he gets into his apartment and he starts putting on clothes, and they all fit really weird still. And he decides he's going to have to do some investigating and find out what's going on here, like because he's starting to piece together that he's missing like years of his life, and the denial in him is making him just think that he's somehow missed 3 years of his life. Until he goes a little bit further, and he's able to piece it together that he is the clone. And I love
the doctor's
this
notes, right?
Yeah,
the doctor's notes tell him.
Yeah, and I love this panel here because they recreate this in the Clone Saga when Ben Reilly actually learns that he's the clone. It's almost the exact same panel. And I didn't realize that they had ripped it off of this book, but it is literally ripped right from this page.
Wow.
So then, the police show up for some reason or another, and they start tussling a little bit. And, he's still got all
the guy's place, right? So
that's
why.
Yeah, and he's still got all the Peter Parker quips. He's making smart ass remarks. Eventually, here though, he gets away from the cops, and full page ad. That's fantastic for content. Well, then he's getting spied on by the Kingpin, who he doesn't even know at this point because the DNA sample was taken from Peter before he'd ever encountered the Kingpin. Mm-hmm. So he didn't even know who this dude is, but he realizes that the dude is strong as all hell, and you don't want to mess with him.
No.
eventually, I think I skipped over a panel earlier where the clone puts Peter in a cryogenic chamber, and he starts thinking about it. He's like, "Hey, man, if I just pull this plug,
That can take
the,
over his life.
yeah, I have my life back." And but the Peter Parker in him just says, "No, you're not doing that," and he breaks him out, and he pretty much just spills the beans. He's like, "Hey, here's what happened, and now I'm tussling with this Kingpin fella, and I need your help." So he's like, "Cool, you got to put on some clothes." So he puts on some of the Jackal's clothes, which actually fit him a little bit better than the advanced age Peter Parker does. He just plays a dumb Peter Parker, taking pictures for the Bugle. Gets himself captured. Pretty much the plan there. And Spider-Man's doing his Spider stuff. He starts going after Wilson Fisk, who's on a Ferris wheel. And this Ferris wheel is it's armed, man. It's got guns and whatnot. They're tussling pretty good. But that's where all of a sudden, still hasn't happened yet. Yeah, they're still fighting. They think Peter Parker's helpless. And then, boom, right up here, clone Peter starts kicking the hell out of everyone. And
That's my favorite panel in the whole book.
yeah, that's a good one.
Surprised by Peter Parker suddenly, guess what? I can do this.
Yeah, and he gives him kicks, and he's like, I learned all my moves from Spider-Man. And
I
and
went to
then-
the Spider-Man summer school or something like that.
yeah. And then over here, they're starting to realize that they don't need to live apart. The clone doesn't need to slink off into the shadows and go off into exile. They decide that they're going to split up being Spider-Man so that they can each have a life outside of being Spider-Man. And they shake hands. They start calling each other brother. And it's funny, like down here, Pete says, "Good deal, bro. I get the bed. You get the couch. I get Mary Jane. You get Doc Ock." And he's like, "That's no way to treat your kid, brother." But no, man, it's just a fun story that wraps really quickly. Like it goes from they're in the thick of it to "Attaboy, good job," really quick. But one of the reasons why I like the story so much is it's a very rare example of a what if book that ends on a really positive note.
Yes.
The world doesn't end because of the weird circumstance, or the earth isn't enslaved, or it's just happy and positive towards the end of the book.
Every other what if book I've read ends that way. Like what's his name? Is not Craven, but Michael Korvac. He destroys the entire universe. Like that kind of
What if ending?
Yeah. So, and it's also not very common that Ben Reilly gets a happy end to the story. He's actually one of the most
Tragic.
I don't want to call him tragic. He's never in a happy spot. Like it always ends poorly for him. And as it does usually for Peter too. But the clone rarely has a happy moment. And so for me, being a big Scarlet Spider fan, a big Ben Reilly fan, seeing a what if story that it kind of really turned out good for him, and he got to go on and kind of have a life. Like I kind of like that a lot. So, so for the cover, I'm gonna give the cover a 2.5. I like the cover because it's telling a little bit of a story on the inside. But the art isn't so amazing that it just like draws you into it. So I think it's the artist on this is it's a Bob Layton cover. It's a Rich Buckler interior art.
Okay.
So so the cover I give it 2.5. The interior art I'll give it a 3. I think it's good Spider-Man art. I like Spider-Man from this era. So I like the way they drew Spider-Man back then. Um, there's nothing in there that was really lacking for me. Um, and for story, I'm going to give it a 3.5. We're going out of 4, right, or out of 5?
5.
Out of
Out of
5.
5.
Ooh. All right, I'm going to give it the story. I'm going to give a 4. Sorry.
Mhm.
Then yeah, overall, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay. Not bad.
Well, I must say, D, that was one of the better reviews yet on Book Club. So good job.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. There's only one thing I saw you didn't point out that I liked and saw and want to point out. See here. So whenever he was in the very first little squabble, he runs into Mary Jane, or Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy.
Right.
Yeah, and she's with Needs, right? And I thought that
Yeah.
was cool because the movie depicts Needs as like a friend of Peter Parker's, and I didn't know that like completely. I didn't read all the bronze and silver, but in this, he very much is like, this is my friend, you know, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess Needs. No, it wasn't Needs. It's this other guy is like a doctor, this black haired guy or whatever, and he like
Warren something.
yeah, Dr. Warren. He wants to make Gwen Stacy love him, and it don't work that way, you know. And
Yeah.
she's like all trying to get back with Needs and shit. But come to find out, she's a clone. So she tells Peter Parker she's a clone, and Peter Parker's like, "Oh, you're just not in your you just don't know what you're talking about, Gwen. You know, like you need to relax and calm the hell down." So that's got to be in the back of his head through the story, you know.
They didn't really do much with her. She just sort of disappeared in this story. I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, and he was like checking on that one girl from his work or whatever. And
Didn't she realize she was a clone and she took off?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's
okay.
all that happened.
Yeah, no,
but-
she realized she was a clone. He was saying that her life doesn't need to be over, though. She still deserves
yeah.
to live a life.
But I don't know. I don't see why she just didn't come back. Yeah.
right. Where did the clone Gwen go after this?
Yeah. And like I actually was kind of hoping at the end, but it didn't happen, that that the clone would get the other clone. 'Cause
Well, I
then,
could see.
you know, you could have the situation where Peter Parker gets both girls basically.
Right. That would have made sense. That could have made sense.
Yeah.
But she like Needs. She liked that guy. That's
Which
the only
is so
problem.
weird.
Yeah, I don't know why she liked him, but and then Peter Parker, you can see like in his eyes. This is one of my favorite parts. It's like he's there's something abnormal about him. It's not like normal Peter Parker eyes.
Mhm.
He looks kind of synthetic or something, you know. And so he talks to the chick that's married. And he's like, all right, I gotta get the hell out of here. And this other broad in the back's like, maybe I should like hang out with him because he don't seem right. So why didn't he mac on her too? I'm with Alan. Like he should get some other girl. You know, he should.
Yeah, he kind of got screwed over.
Yeah, Gwen's in love with this guy. The girl that he checked on's married, and then the girl that he is talking to in his car is like,
That's the same girl. That's the same girl.
Is it
So
the girl?
if you-
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
Penny.
That's
So if you
the secretary girl.
if you look at the front cover, it tells you that there's also an Inhumans what if story at the end.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that this what if story number 30 with Peter Parker had more meat on the bone, and they cut
They
some
trimmed
shit
it?
out
Wouldn't surprise me.
to add that Inhuman story? Because it's like I said, they wrapped that book up really quick.
Yes. And that in my review, that's going to be like the biggest comment about it. it was going very promising, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's over. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like you're done, you're done, you're done, you're done. There we go, nice wrapped up in a bow.
Yeah.
Well, they had enough time for him to go to college and to talk to Flash, but I guess not enough time for other stuff. Anyways, there's Kingpin. Kingpin does seem a little extra strong. He kind of,
Well, he can take a beating.
yeah, clearly he's a good fighter. Without radioactive, he's just naturally strong, crashing brick and all types of shit. All right, so I'm gonna give my scores for the cover. I'll show the cover again when I give it score. I usually do a more intricate review, but I think Dee got about everything. What if this is one of my favorite what if covers? I'm gonna give it a. I'll give it a 3. I like it. Hold on. Biggie score. Okay, and then inside art. Oh, did I do that or you did that? I don't know. Inside art. I will also give it a 3. Story. There's 4 categories. Story. I'm gonna give it a 2.5. It wasn't as good as the art to me. It was okay though. It just wasn't my favorite shit ever, you know. Okay. And overall, I will give it a 2.5. It's about an average comic for me. So I guess we'll have Alan go next. And Alan will be picking the book this week. So tear up, Alan.
Cool. So I actually thought this book was not bad. Actually, you know, I think it's one of those things where it sets up the whole idea of what you do as a clone, right? You know, they always have the situation where clones have to kill their original, you know, because you don't know which one is which, right? And this one at least allowed that there was some time passage that made it that is pretty obvious that this clone is a clone, you know, and I think that they set that up really, really well, where he felt like he was living somebody else's life and he didn't want to live somebody else's life. And he is a good person generally. I mean, Peter Parker, right? So obviously he's not going to kill himself, but he did have those thoughts. You know, they showed the typical, you know, clones are evil because they want to have the life that they think is theirs, right? So I thought they did that quite well. They spent maybe a little bit too much time on that, where I thought, man, this guy's so clueless. He really should realize that he's a clone by now. But, you know, and then he had to break into that doctor's office in order to, you know, really prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was the clone. So I thought that was interesting. But for me, I felt like there was loose ends that could have been added, like just the Gwen Stacy thing. I just felt like that was a loose end that could have been brought back into the story. They spent time on weird things that I thought was like a bit of a waste of time. And the fight between the very end fight between Peter Parker or the real Spider-Man and Kingpin was a little bit weak, in my opinion, just a little weak. I found all of a sudden Kingpin seems like he's not really great. he picked the worst location to fight Spider-Man. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it basically gave Spider-Man all the advantages. So that was, and I did like the fact that they played up that Peter Parker, the other Peter Parker, pretending to be Peter Parker, was, oh, I'm so helpless, and they played that up a bit. I thought that was well done. So overall, I'll give the cover a 3. And the reason I give it a 3 is it kind of reminds me of a very classic EC cover. It actually looks like an homage to an EC cover, where there's one where the guy's being buried alive under the ground. There's a classic EC cover. They just did it for, if you look at the Blood Hunt series, I think
know
it's the
the cover
second,
you're talking
the
about.
second
Oh
one.
no shit!
Yeah, if you look at that, it's there's a
I
similar.
agree. It does have like a historical kind of look to it. I agree.
Yeah, so that if you look at that cover, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, so I kind of I like homages, so that kind of appeals to me. I give it a 3 out of 5 for that. The interior art I thought was good. So and, it was like I would say kind of averagey, but good, solid art. So I'd also give that a 3. And then the next thing is story. I as I said, I like the idea of I'm an ideas guy, so if this, like, even if the story isn't necessarily like 100% flushed out or anything, if the idea is cool where they can explain some aspect of something weird like clone lore, I don't know, clone lore, if that's a thing, then I kind of appreciate it more. So I gave again another 3. Just keep on.
Okay.
You'll notice a consistency, 3, 3, 3, 3. And so the overall, well, I give it a 3 out of 5. So I just felt like it was
How the
like,
fuck did you know he was gonna say that, D?
Well, the other 3 were already a 3, so I knew
The
the
average-
You typed it
overall.
3.
It's not
Alright.
going to
Yeah.
go around. But the book is a 5 after this 3, 3, 3, 3. But
yeah, no, the book is a 10. How's that work? No, it's a 3. It's like everything's 3. So I felt like it was a good, entertaining book. Very.
Uh-oh.
So somebody just tried to call me. Am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So so that's my score.
That's your turn. Okay. Great job, Alan. That was pretty. I liked your opinion on the cover. I think that was good to bring up.
Hmm.
All right.
And Alan actually made the point about the cover. If he hadn't have said it, I would have, because it's one of the first things I noticed too.
Yeah, I naturally gave it like a better than average score. It's not like dynamic or nothing, but it has a good comic book feel to it.
However, I think that, and I realized because they put the second story in, they had to do something to advertise it. And the fact
That
that they put,
detracted from it. The bar at the bottom.
yes, the floating heads pushed the cover into this smaller picture and thus took away. I would have given it a higher score if it was on its own and it
Mhm.
spaced out better.
Me too.
So as it is, it's not the floating heads kind of ruined the cover for me.
Mhm.
As
It made
for
it too busy, actually.
yes, it made it way too busy. It was like, what do I look at? What do I look at?
Oh, it
here?
also had the shopping ad on top, so that's squished it.
Yeah,
in.
well, but the thing is, a lot of Marvel books around that time did.
Yeah,
so,
they did.
that
The
unusual
Toys R Us
stuff,
or whatever.
that
Yeah.
and I
That's
mean,
all.
like and books that didn't have it usually had bigger typefaces anyway.
Hmm.
They made it smaller because of that banner.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I have with regards to the writing is it was building it up good. It wasn't being slow necessarily, but in the beginning there was a little more detail put. There was things were going good. The clone is awake. He's checking out Aunt May and all of her stuff. But then with the fight with and even the fight with the Kingpin was good. But then it went to rush the conclusion too fast. Okay, this is done. Got to do this. Got to do this. Got to do this. And I don't like. I agree with Alan. I don't like the Gwen Stacy being. She didn't have to leave New York.
Just,
I mean, but this is where I get confused by this period of Spider-Man. Period. One of the reasons I don't read a lot of Spider-Man is that I get confused by where everything is at once. You talk about this guy hasn't met the Kingpin yet, but doesn't he date Gwen Stacy and know her after he meets the Kingpin?
No, she died before then.
Yeah,
So
Gwen
she
Stacy
died in.
Kingpin is
before.
50. The
No,
Kingpin
that's
is
Kingpin. Kingpin's
Yeah.
later than Gwen Stacy,
no.
right? No.
No. You're right. You're right. Kingpin
Stacy.
happens. Gwen Stacy dies after he's met Kingpin. But
Well,
Yeah.
she
they're
dies at
saying,
120 something, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
that's all. That's what I'm saying.
121.
So that timeline thing, I don't think was
I was a
thought
little
out
bit
very
confused
well
by
either.
it too, tell you the truth. He should have
Okay.
known who the Kingpin is. Yeah.
But I'm going to go by, but I will go by the pure fact of the story as presented. I'm just saying this is why I find Spider-Man so hard to read sometimes, because it's like, where is this in his continuity again? They bounce back and forth sometimes. And
Yeah, Gwen Stacy's first appearance is 31, not.
oh, okay. Well, then he would.
Don't play me, guys. Don't even try.
Well, that's just it. I don't know. I really, honestly, to God, don't know. I
It's
don't
okay.
follow.
It's just that I was going to give up, but I
But
had
her death was much later. That's what I was going by.
He didn't know she was dead. That's not the point. He knew
Oh,
who
actually,
Gwen
you're
was.
right. He didn't know that she was dead because he
Yeah,
was like,
we-
"Oh, in
okay.
this world, she's dead." He was actually
Yeah.
learning
That's
that
cool. It's
too.
cool. Continue on.
I'm just saying, in my mind, it was hard to follow there. Now, cover. I would, if there was no floating heads, I would give it a 4. Because of the floating heads, they take away. I'm giving it a 2.5.
Oh well.
Okay. The interior art, though, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm going to give it a 3.5
Ooh,
Okay.
because I you know what, I liked it for the story. It was really good. I liked their action panels were great. Okay.
They had, like,
I really liked the panel with the double kick, okay, with Peter Parker. But that whole sequence with the Kingpin, I thought was really well done. I agree with Biggie. He looked weird in the office, but the action panels make up for it more than make up for it.
mhm.
Yeah, it was. Hold on. Let's key on that for a moment because he looked very Spider-Man like until he got into the office, and then
Exactly.
yeah, it's so weird. It's like, why did you fall apart in there? But okay, continue.
I mean, I get that you're awkward and he's not quite sure what to say. Like he just got sort of thrown a curveball. Wait, Betty's married and to Ned? But
oh,
at the same
Yeah, yeah.
time, you know what? The drawing of his facial expression could have been better. And that I think was really making what is throwing off.
Mhm.
Now, coming to the writing, I would give it a perfect score if the writing, because I like the concept across, and the concept to me is everything. And for the most part, they delivered. The problem was the rush ending, and it didn't feel. It felt like, oh no, I want a little more. It's like, here, you live with me. We'll do this. Da 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 da. Bum bum. You know, and because that felt rushed, I have to take it away. So I'm going to give it a 4 because I did really enjoy the
that's
writing.
high score.
I really
Love
liked
that.
the writing.
Okay.
And as a result, if you take everything across, the whole book, I give it a 3.5. Is that cover and some of the art take away, and that rush finish just take away enough that it's not a perfect book, and it's not in the 4 range as a book.
Okay.
Wow, what an adventure! So I could see why D enjoys this because the clone is very honorable in this issue. He's very like Spider-Man esque. He's not like somewhat evil. I'm not saying he's always evil, but he could have been selfish, and he wasn't. So I could see why D liked it. So I add up the score. You guys could talk about it. Only reason I was so adamant on Gwen Stacy being around is because I was thinking of those Mexican ASM with all the Gwen
Where
Stacy
they get
stories.
married and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was way
was
early.
cool.
Like there's
I
no
mean, they
way.
could have done that,
There's-
right? They could have.
Again, this is where I will admit my knowledge of the Spider-Man universe is very little. I've never collected it. I've never been into
That's all right,
it.
man.
I've liked the movies. The movies were fun, but I mean, I've never really. And it's one of the books that I know I should read more.
Hmm.
But
You don't have to read you read whatever you want, Matt. No big deal, bro.
it's more for knowledge purposes. Like the now that I'm doing this stuff, I really want to know everything.
What's it like to have an AF-15? I saw you showing that bad boy off today, Alan. Does that make you feel pretty cool having one of them, don't it?
Yeah, no, it's a cool book.
It is.
very humble. I like it.
9, 13.
Ask me what it's like having an ASM 149 and a 9.8.
What's it like having a first clone perfect copy? Perfect clone, D.
Oh, dude, it's almost as good as having an AF-15. I'll tell you what.
As close as you could get, man. I got a Red Guardian. That's as close to a Cap 1 as I'm gonna get. So there you go. 9.5 and 13. I think I got all the scores right. So I'm gonna add them all together.
Okay.
So this Friday marks the 30th anniversary of the debut of Scarlet Spider.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So this issue right here, where it's the first Scarlet Spider,
That was
this
30
book-
years ago.
30 years ago.
30 years. Yeah.
94. Wow.
Yeah, and this is an old newsstand.
Do you What do you think about getting one of those Scarlet Spiders, Alan? Do you have Scarlet Spider and
I have a
149?
raw copy of it.
Yeah, I need to get one. I need to get 149 too. I had 149 before. Never had that
I mean,
one though.
that's really weird. Like it didn't seem like that long ago. I remember that.
I know
on the
it
newsstand.
was in the 90s. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
this one, my copy was on the newsstand literally, and then it was.
The 90s
in a
feel
slot.
like yesterday.
hmm
I feel like I can turn on the TV and Titus will be on.
Yeah.
It feels like, though it does feel like a different life, though, because I was
Mhm.
like a teen. You know, I was like not a teen. I was like at university at that time. But
Or X-Files. How many times X-Files and Seinfeld are still on so often in places that it feels like the 90s.
mhm.
I was watching a movie. It was about like living in a suburb, and it had the actor from Transformers. What's his name? The kid.
Mark-
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia
Shia
LaBeouf.
LaBeouf, yeah.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf. He was on house arrest, and he couldn't go out of his yard, and there was a murderer.
Oh
in
yes, he had he had a special collar on his ankle, right?
Yes. It was such a good movie because it was based in the 90s. Like you had to use house phones. He was on the internet, but it was very limited. It was a great movie. But if you're looking
that was a rip-off movie of what's the
Yep.
Alfred Hitchcock one?
Yep.
Where
the guy has a broken leg and he's filming
broken
it.
leg, yes, yeah.
Yep. It
Cali
is.
Comics said it was Disturbia.
Disturbia.
Yeah. Yes.
You can watch it on YouTube if you want to watch a 90s era movie. I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it was good. No, I liked it.
All right. So the total out of 80 points is 51.5. So it did very
Not
well.
bad.
Mhm.
Nice,
Pretty
solid-
good.
solid
Have we decided to go look back and like jot down the rankings of the books so
We
far to see
should.
how
I
they
have. I just don't do the work to do it. I just, I'm barely
you gotta
able to
do
read
that.
a dang books. But yeah, I'll get to it, I guess. So any one of you guys could do it. You don't have
And
to
then
put
what
all
we
the
should
damn
have is
pressure on
that
me.
At the end of the year, we say who is what was the best book,
and what was the worst?
and what was the worst. Yeah.
Well, it's a
The
toss.
worst is always fun too.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
worst
yeah.
is the toss up between. I know what the worst is. It's either mine or Alan's. It's the Gwenpool or the Uncle Scrooge right now.
You guys were brutal on the Uncle Scrooge, yeah.
Yeah, they weren't very easy on the Gwenpool. But all right, while we're bringing that up, Alan, what is our next book gonna be, buddy?
Okay, I'm debating between three books. Wonder Woman 1,
Wow.
or Chamber of Chills 19, just because I picked
Whoa.
it up.
Steppo would be happy because he wants to see a big book.
I was thinking about a JoJo, which is an interesting title as well. I'm gonna go with the Wonder Woman 1 because I think
Okay.
it'll be more in tune with what you guys kind of like. So we'll go
Damn.
with Wonder Woman 1.
I've never
So I
read it.
expect
Alright.
you guys each to pick up a copy before.
Yeah, naturally.
Okay.
I got
So
three of them.
Wonder Woman
I'll
1
send mine out.
Wonder Woman 1 2016 on Rebirth, right?
Yeah.
I could borrow Doc's All Star 8.
So I'll send a link where you guys can read it. So don't worry.
I assume you are referring to 1942.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Naturally.
And if you guys have watched the Wonder Woman movie, you'll find a lot of similarities.
Really?
It's amazing, yeah, how close.
Is Dr. Poison in that movie in that book?
Well, you have to read it. You'll find it. I can't.
Well, I will be reading it.
I'll tell you that Wonder Woman movie, the first one, is one of my favorite comic book movies.
Well,
It's
Yes.
a
then
good
you'll like
PC
the comic.
version.
You'll like the comic.
I
Actually,
can't wait.
Yeah.
the girl from that movie who's playing Ada Candy is going to be in Ottawa this weekend.
Yes, I know. I was like that. That was
Mhm.
another reason I was thinking. I actually picked up Sensation Comics #2, which is her first. Well, Etta Candy's first appearance.
Very nice.
So a lot of people like say that Wonder Woman 1 and Sensation 1 are kind of on par. Which one do you suggest is the better book, Alan?
So there's the 3 books that you have to
3.
get, right? If you want to be a
Well, I
Wonder
mean, yeah,
Woman.
All Star 8's obviously
All
above
Star
those 2.
8, Sensation 1, and Wonder Woman 1.
Yeah,
And
but
they're
I'm
all
just
sort
saying.
of like equal level in a way.
No,
Well, yeah,
no. All Star
if
8.
I remember correctly, tell me if I'm wrong, Alan. All Star 8 is the contest that, and Steve Trevor lands on Paradise Island.
Yes.
Sensation 1, she returns Steve to America and becomes Diana Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes that, she does the bullets and bracelets and
Bullets and
ends
bracelets.
up, like the taking the con man for a ride.
Yep.
And then Wonder Woman 1 is the beginning of all her adventures.
A little bit. You'll see. It does have a little bit of the recap of the origin, but it also
Yeah.
gets her when she's in America, and it has that whole setup.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have definitely read the other 2 before. It's that one that
Well, go ahead and rank them, Alan. Which one? We'll go 1 to 3 on those 3.
So
In
for me,
importance.
they
For
alternate.
story.
Like,
Go for story.
I'm just saying importance, but yeah, story, sure.
I go with Wonder Woman 1's my favorite of the
best.
3 for story, but I really do like Sensation 1 because it is the first cover appearance. I think it's a.
I also like I'm also a little biased on Sensation 1 because I like the backup stories with like Wildcat and Mr. Terrific as well.
Yeah,
So,
it has a lot of first appearances actually. Sensation 1.
Huh. Well, you heard it
Yeah.
here.
So it'll be a good one. It'll be a good one to read next week. So it'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
me too.
All right. Well, this has
Okay.
been the book club. That was What If 30. I thank everybody that came in and watched. Nostalgia Podcast, Callie, GSS Brooklyn, GT Key, all the normal guys. And I appreciate
Pod
y'all
Blast was up in here.
Oh,
was?
JSS said that there's a Wonder Woman up on Heritage currently. So you guys have a chance to pick it up.
Oh, good.
Hey, me, Matt, and Biggie can all bid on it tonight and drive up the price.
We're gonna just bid on it against each other.
Yeah.
I bid on a Superman 1.
Mad
But
Spidey,
I
Bleeker.
was
You
outbid
did?
by about $1 million. So
Oh, is that all?
What'd you do? Bid $1?
no, I just bid on it just to say I bid on a.
Oh. Did you feel nervous while your bid was in? You're just like, oh God.
No, I knew I wasn't going to win. I knew it was
Yeah.
not likely.
How are you?
All right, guys. See y'all in a week or see y'all in club. Which one ever comes first. See y'all later, man.
Okay. See
Okay.
you guys.